Hello students, the topic that we will take for our lecture today is basics and forms of technical writing. This particular topic is an A part of Unit 2, which has been divided into two for convenience. The A is, as I just now mentioned, is on the basics and forms of technical writing, and B is on business writings, right? So as the title itself reflects, that we will be reading about the various features related to technical writing. That what is the difference between a general writing text and a technical text? Or in other words, what is the difference between a general document and a technical document? Before we go deeper into the technical writing, it is important that you should understand the concept of communication and also have a clear understanding of the process of communication. So, let us first try to understand what does the term communication mean. The term communication means primarily to share or to impart, right? It has been derived from a Latin word, that is communicare, and the literal meaning of that word is to share. And what do we share? We share information, ideas, feelings, etc. So this process of sharing is what communication is all about, and this takes place not only in an informal setup, but it takes place even in an academic sphere, in a professional situation, at every segment of our interaction, right? So we have to understand that what are the things that we need to keep in mind in order to be a good communicator, okay? And until unless we do not know what communication is, we will never be able to develop those skills. So I have given a couple of definitions. This will help you to understand the term communication in a better manner. One definition is given by Beard Jr. John, who says communication is the process involving the transmission and reception of symbols, eliciting meaning in the minds of the participants by making common their life experiences. Now, this particular definition has certain catchwords. What I mean by that is, first and foremost thing is that it is a process. Process means it's not something static or dead, but it is an ongoing activity, right? And what is this activity all about? Transmission. Transmission is to giving out, to convey, to further, transmit, and reception of symbols. So from one side there is transmission, and on the other side there is a reception. What does the person receive? Symbols eliciting meanings in the mind of the participant. So what is he conveying? He is conveying a message. It can be in the form of words, it can be in the form of body language, it can be in the form of gestures, symbols, okay? And these symbols which are used by the transmitter or the person who transmits are being received and understood by the participant by making common their life experiences. And when the participant is able to understand the meaning of the message which is being transmitted to him, then he is able to understand the real essence, or he is able to comprehend the message which is being conveyed through that particular interaction. So primarily it means that it is a process which involves transmission and reception of messages, and it is also important that the understanding should also be there. If a person is not able to understand the message, only receives it, then he will not be able to understand the essence of it, and then the objective of communication is defeated. Likewise, there is another definition by Vardhaman. Effective communication is purposive, symbolic, interchange, resulting in workable understanding and agreement between the sender and the receiver. So these words are perfectly conveying the meaning of this. What is the first word? It is purposive. Purposive means with a purpose. There, it is not without objective or without a specific concrete message. Communication always takes place when there is some objectification or some specific purpose. Symbolic. Symbolic why? Because he uses words, or whatever method he uses to convey is primarily conveying a particular idea which is hidden in that particular term or symbol. Interchange, result in. Now another third thing is there is an interchange. That means there is an action and a reaction. There is the transmission and the reception. Constantly there is a give and take process going on, which results in workable understanding and agreement between the sender and the receiver. And when this sort of a functioning takes place of giving and receiving, just like I am doing right now, I am trying to convey to you a certain idea and that you are receiving. So what is happening between us? A kind of give and take is happening, right? And when this sort of a thing happens, then we say it is communication. All right. Without give and take, there just can't be communication. As you have just now read, that communication is dynamic in nature. It is a process. So here in this slide, you can see how it is a process. It is so aptly and beautifully depicted that how does this process of communication begin. As you can see for yourself that the communication process begins with the sender. Now the sender means the speaker. Okay, like here, let's take an example. It will make it clear. Here I am the sender. I am sending you a lecture on communication process. So what am I doing? I am preparing a lecture by selecting words and images which may convey the concept related to communication. So I am encoding. That is, I am selecting images, I am selecting definitions, I am selecting words which may convey the idea that I want to put across, that communication is a process in which there is a sharing and transfer of information from one person to another. Now, what am I trying to encode? A message. And here, what is a message? That is the definition and understanding related to communication, right? Now, this particular message, which is finally framed in the form of the PPTs that I'm presenting, or my verbal message, or my oral message, now that has to have a pathway, okay, a channel. So here, the channel of communication is primarily the lecture, right? Or we can also say it is through the PPT that I'm trying to convey. But if we get out of this particular frame, there are various channels through which communication takes place, or the message is conveyed through the electronic mode, then through face-to-face correspondence, then through telephone or cell phones, then even through body gestures, right? And the way the symbols, the signs, they all are the various forms or mediums which may be used in order to convey a certain message. So this message needs a channel. It can be verbal, it can be non-verbal. Verbal means words or oral. Non-verbal means it can be in the form of a written script. It can be in the form of a person just with the help of his hands may express or form a certain kind of symbol which the other person may understand. Just like, when you wish your friend all the best, if he's far away, you don't scream, but you just showed him the thumbs up, right? So that is also a channel to communicate the message. Likewise, when you're going onto the road and then all of a sudden there's a red light, we stop. Red light is not speaking, but it is symbolic. It is a medium which is used by the traffic police in order to streamline the traffic. Once that channel is selected, the message received is sent to the receiver. Now the receiver is very alert. The receiver decodes the encoded message. How does he decode? He tries to understand that message. Like I told you that if your friend from the far shows you thumbs up, then automatically you will also wave out to him, and that your waving will be understood by him that you have got the message. So what is he doing? He's decoding, because he understands thumbs up is basically it means all the best, right? So likewise, when I'm telling you or I'm narrating a particular story to you, when you listen to it, then with the help of the examples I'm giving or the way I narrate, that you will try to decode that and try to understand what I'm trying to say. And once I'm able to decode, then automatically it is a natural response that I would like to reach out to the sender again, whether it can be, through again written form, or it can be through verbal form, or it can be through body gestures. But the sender also needs a response, because that gives them the assurance that you have understood or you have received the message. Okay, so likewise, then the feedback goes back to the sender. Then the sender continues his conversation or whatever he wants to convey to you. So it is a cyclic process. It is a continuous process. It cannot halt. If it halts there and then, communication comes to an halt. So we have to be very careful that when our communication process is on, we should try to maintain the link between the speaker and the receiver. Okay, and then only this process is considered to be, working. Otherwise, there won't be any. Just like, you're alone in the room and you go on talking and you keep on saying something about yourself, about something you are very much touched about, but there is nobody. So the wall is not responding to you. So there isn't any feedback. When there is no feedback, obviously, that means there does not exist any kind of communication. All right. So this is what the entire concept of communication is, whether we are in the technical field, whether we are in the business field, whether we are in our own personal life. Communication plays a very important role. And that's the reason why we need to understand communication properly. Because after all, wherever we are working, whether we are working in a technical field, whether we are having our own business, or even in any other academic field, how do we communicate with others? It is through writing, through verbal instructions. So we have to see that we need to connect with the people with whom we are talking. If we are not able to convey the message or we are not able to understand them, then there cannot be any kind of communication. So the understanding of communication is a prerequisite for understanding the basic forms of business and technical writing or technical and business correspondence. Therefore, this particular topic, which is their communication, has to be understood properly by you, and it is not a complex thing. It is something that already exists, just that we have to try to understand its importance even in our professional life. Now, I hope you have understood the concept clearly? Because now we will be moving ahead. That is, we will be talking about the different forms of communication. That is, we have formal communication patterns, we have informal communication patterns. Informal communication patterns also exist in the professional field, where the term you must be acquainted with, grapevine communication. That is primarily informal communication in a formal setup. Likewise, in a formal setup, we also have certain formal channels or patterns with the help of which we communicate. That is, between the employees, there is a correspondence. Between the boss and the subordinate, there is then between the workers themselves and with their senior people, right? So everything, if you really see, is interconnected through the channel of communication. And the company or an organization where communication really is good between the workers or the team, that company always flourishes. All right. So that's all for this particular lecture. I think you have understood the significance of communication and its process, because this will help you in not only doing well in your exams, but also tomorrow when you step out of this institute and work in your respective fields, there also you will understand how important communication is. All right. So that's all for today. Thank you.